Tennessee's at-home learning series for literacy. Today's lesson is for all our second graders out there, though everyone is welcome to tune in. This lesson is the first in this week's series. My name is Mrs. Ledford, and I'm a second grade teacher at Prescott South Elementary School in Cookeville, Tennessee. I'm so excited to be your teacher for this lesson. Welcome to my virtual classroom. If you didn't see our previous lesson, you can find it on www.tn.gov/education. That's www.tn.gov/education. You can still tune in for today's lesson if you haven't seen any of our others. Today, we will be learning about fairy tales. I'm so excited. But before we get started, to participate fully in today's lesson, you will need 2 pieces of paper, a pencil, and a surface to write on. If you'd also like, you can grab some crayons, markers, or coloring pencils. And finally, there's a student packet online for ELA, Grade 2, Lesson 6, which can be found at the same website, www.tn.gov/education. Okay, let's begin. Today, our goal is to retell the fairy tale in our own words and include illustrations. We will begin with me showing you what that looks like, and then there will be more time for you to practice on your own with my support. Finally, I will assign you independent work that you can complete after the video ends. All right, boys and girls, today we are going to read a story called A Fairy Tale. I love fairy tales. There are 2 different kinds of words that have tail. Tail and tail are homophones, which means they sound the same, but they have different meanings. Tail has several meanings, including the rear part of an animal or a vehicle. The noun tale, Tale, refers to a report or story. So tale, Tale, is a multiple meaning word, but it is just another word for story. Many fairy tales, including the ones we will read today, were collected long ago by 2 brothers known as the Brothers Grimm. Many stories told long ago were told orally for many years, which means they were told by mouth. The Brothers Grimm thought it would be a good idea to write the stories down and make a book out of them. They thought the book would be interesting because the stories are about things that make people happy or sad or sometimes even afraid. So, boys and girls, now, more than 200 years later, people all over the world are still reading the fairy tales that the brothers collected for their books. You may have even heard some of those stories. All right, boys and girls, look at the pictures that I've got shown for you today. The brothers wrote these stories down, plus many more. They wrote Hansel and Gretel, Rumpelstiltskin, The Frog Prince, and Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Boys and girls, stand up. I'm going to have you answer some questions while we do some movements. Are you ready? All right, if you've ever listened to this story, Hansel and Gretel, I want you to pat your head. Excellent. I love that story too. Now, I want you to stand on one foot if you've ever heard the story Rumpelstiltskin. Are you standing on one foot? Oh, you have such great balance. I also enjoy that story. All right, boys and girls, if you have ever listened to the story The Frog Prince, I want you to touch your toes. Great. That is a silly story. Now, last one, if you have ever listened to the story Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, I want you to jump up and down 3 times. Oh, I see a lot of people jumping out there. Excellent. That is one of my favorites as well. The Brothers Grimm lived in Germany. So let's look. Today, we're going to look at a map. We're going to do some geography. And this is what's called a world map. It's the map of our world, okay? Now, the Brothers Grimm lived in Germany. I want you to take one of your fingers. I want you to point to Germany. Very good. Germany is all the way across the ocean from America. I want you to take your other hand and point to America. Wow, that is a long distance away. I am excited to learn about a fairy tale that was written a long time ago from such a faraway country. Now, as you can see, Germany is in Europe, and we're over here in North America. Great job, boys and girls. I'm so excited to read this fairy tale. Boys and girls, what do you know about fairy tales? Well, fairy tales are types of stories that include characters such as princes and princesses, giants, witches, and even animals that can talk. Although some of these things that happen in fairy tales could happen in real life, many of the things that happen in these stories are what's called fantasy, or it's a make-believe thing that can't really happen. They also include some elements of magic. Now, let's review fairy tales. See if you can name some characters that we might find in a fairy tale. Oh, very good, boys and girls. If you said princes, princesses, giants, witches, and even talking animals, give yourself a pat on the back. Now, I've got a tricky one for you. Can everything that happens in a fairy tale happen in real life? No, these stories are fantasy. Some things can happen in real life, but not everything. All right, boys and girls, let's look at this picture today. This is the cover of the story that we're going to be reading. Our fairy tale today is called Rumpelstiltskin. Oh, boys and girls, that is a very long and difficult word, but don't let it scare you. We are going to break it apart into syllables, okay? So let's say the word together and we'll clap the word into syllables as we say it. All right? Rumpelstiltskin. Let's clap that together as we say it. Rumpelstiltskin. How many claps did you hear me say? Rumpelstiltskin. How many syllables did you hear, boys and girls? That's right, we hear 4 syllables. Okay, so let's look at this word on paper when it is broken apart. So let's just look at this first syllable. I'm going to highlight it for you on your cover. Okay, so the first syllable is this right here. And what vowel is in this first syllable? Right, the vowel is the U. And the vowel says, So help me sound this syllable out. Help me sound this out, boys and girls. R, m, r, m, rump. Very good, boys and girls. Now let's look at the second syllable. I'm going to highlight that syllable for you. Let me make my box a little bit bigger. All right, the second syllable, our vowel is the E. And the vowel is going to help us sound it out. Ul, rump, ul. All right, boys and girls, let's look at the third syllable, which is going to be this right here, stilt. All right, now let's sound this out. We've got a vowel, which is the I. Very good. And the vowel says eh. So help me sound this out, okay? Let's look at each sound as we sound every part of this out, okay? S, t, eh, l, t. Let's do it a little quicker this time. S, t, eh, l, t. Stilt. Very good, boys and girls. And now let's look at the last syllable. I'm going to highlight it for you, okay? I have got the vowel sound. The vowel is the I, okay? And the vowel sound is eh. Very good, boys and girls. Now, let's sound that out together. S, k, skin. Very good, boys and girls. Now, let's go back and read all 4 syllables. Are you ready? All right, boys and girls, let's go. Rump, stilt, skin. Nice job, boys and girls. Excellent reading today. Now, today as we read, we are going to take some notes about the events that are happening. Remember, our goal is to be able to rewrite the fairy tale in our own words. So we're going to take notes as we go about what's happening in the story. So what I want you to do first is I want you to take out one of your pieces of paper and your pen or your pencil. All right? I'm going to take mine out right now too. All right, good job, boys and girls. Now, let's begin. I want to write the word Rumpelstiltskin at the top of the page. This is one of our characters, so I really want you to be able to spell his name correctly. Are you ready? Pick up your pencil. All right, boys and girls, let's write R. Now, I'm going to write a capital R. Does anybody know why I'm capitalizing my R? Very good, because it's his name. That's a character's name. So it's a proper noun and it needs to have a capital letter. Write R on your paper. All right, are you ready? Write U. Write M. Write P. Write E. Write L. Write S. Nice job. Write T. Write I. Write L. Write T. Write S. Write K. Write I. Very good, boys and girls. And the last we're going to write is N. Rumpelstiltskin. Nice job, boys and girls. Now we're going to start reading our story, okay? So you've got Rumpelstiltskin written at the top of your page. We're going to start reading our story. You're going to listen as I read. Ready? All right. A poor woman met a queen. The woman said, "My daughter can make straw into gold. My daughter will be a princess." The queen said, "Show me, and she can marry my son. My son is a prince." Look at this picture, boys and girls. Where are these characters? All right, these people are selling goods to others at the market, sort of like when we go to the grocery store. Okay, point to and say some of the characters that you see. Excellent. I see the woman selling pottery. Yes, very good. And then this is the queen and her son, which would make him the prince. Remember earlier when we talked about the characteristics of a fairy tale? One characteristic that we mentioned was having royal characters. Royal people are those who come from a royal family. They have power and often wear crowns. Who are the royal characters we meet on this page? Yes, the queen and her son. Very good. The prince. They are royal characters. Wonderful. Well, the old lady said her daughter could spin some straw into gold. I wonder what straw is. Do you know what straw is? Do the floss dance at home if you know what straw is. Oh, wow. That's some good dancing. What is straw? Yes, straw is like hay. It is dry grass that farm animals usually eat. Let's take some notes on our notes page about what has happened so far. Let's think. So the queen has visited the market, and a lady told her that her daughter could turn straw into gold. So let's write a few words that would help us remember this part of the story. We don't have to write in complete sentences when we're taking notes, just words that go together. So first, I'm going to make a dot, and this dot is known as a bullet point on your paper. It's really great for taking notes. This will help keep my ideas organized on my paper. Can you make a bullet point on your paper under where we wrote Rumpelstiltskin? Great. Now, I'm going to write a few words that help me remember the story so far. You can copy my words or you can write your own. So first, the queen. I'm just going to write queen to market. Queen to market. Woman said straw to gold. Great. Now, let's go to the next page of the story. I think this will help us remember the beginning. Queen to market, woman said straw to gold. Let's go to the next page of the story, and I want you to listen as I read. The woman and her daughter came to the castle. Make this straw into gold, the queen said. The girl was sad. I cannot make gold. I will help, said a little man, but one day you must give me your child. What problem does the girl find herself with? Yes, she must turn her straw into gold. Who creates this problem for her and how? Absolutely, her mother does by telling the queen a lie. That little girl can't turn straw into gold. Who remembers what straw is? Good, it's hay. Hay or straw is a dried grass that farm animals often eat. Why is the girl sad on this page, boys and girls? Yes, she's sad because she cannot make that straw into gold. I wonder who this little man is. He says he can help. Do you think he can help the girl? We'll have to keep reading to find out, but first, let's add some notes on our notes page. First, you're going to make another bullet point under where we first took our first note. So make another bullet point with me. Very good. And then let's think. So the girls and her mom came to the castle, and the queen demanded that she turn the straw into gold. The little girl was worried, but a little man showed up to help. I'm going to try to write a few words that will help me remember this part of the story. You can copy mine, or you can come up with some of your own. Girl to castle. Remember, we don't have to write in complete sentences right now. Can't make gold, can she? Nope. All right, boys and girls. And then man to help. Girl to castle, can't make gold, man to help. All right, let's continue to read our story. The queen saw the gold. You see the gold? You will marry the prince. You will be his princess. The prince and princess were happy. They had a child. Was the little man able to help the girl? Yes, the queen saw the gold. What happened as a result of the girl turning the straw into gold? That's right, the queen said they could get married. And this says that the prince and the princess were happy. Who is the princess? You're right, it's that girl. She got to marry the prince, and so now she's royalty. She's a princess. So now that there's a princess, would you consider her to be royalty? That's right. If you're a royal character, you could be a prince or a princess or a queen. She's royalty because she married the prince. Look, they even had a child. Uh-oh, do you remember the promise that that princess made to that little man? Yeah, she promised that she would give her child to him. Let's take some notes about what we've read. First, let's make another bullet point on our page, right underneath where we've written before. And let's see. The girl turned the straw to gold. The queen was happy. She let the girl marry her son. They had a child. I'm just going to write a few words to help me remember this part. You can copy mine or come up with some of your own. Girl made gold. Girl made gold. Very good. Married prince. Nice job. And what else? Yes. Had baby. All right. So we put girl made gold, married prince, had baby. That will help us remember this part of the story. So let's continue to read the story as we find out what happens next. Then the little man came back. Give me your child, he said. No, do not take my child, said the princess. Then you must find my name, said the little man. The princess looked and looked, and then she saw the man's name. She ran home. The little man came back again. Hello, Rumpelstiltskin, said the princess. The princess now finds herself with a new problem. What is it? Yes, the little man is back to get what he wanted. How does the princess feel when he came back? Yes, she feels scared and sad. She doesn't want to give her child away. What deal does the little man make with the princess? Great. He will not take her child if she can find his name. All right. How does the princess find the little man's name? Yes, she looks on his mailbox. And who is the little man, boys and girls? Rumpelstiltskin. Very good. So when the little man returns, the princess knows his name. How does that make him feel? You're right. Look at the picture. You can tell he is very angry or upset. So let's take some notes on this final part of the story. Let's make a final bullet point on our page. And let's see. The little man returns to collect the child as he was promised. The princess begs him not to take her child. He makes a deal with her that if she can find his name, he won't take the child. She is able to find his name. I'm going to try to write a few words to help me with this part. You can copy mine or you can come up with some of your own. Man comes for child. Okay, makes a deal. Now, let's read the end of the story together. Rumpelstiltskin was mad. He ran away. The prince and the princess did not see him again. All right, boys and girls, what a great end to the story. Now, let's take some notes on the page. First, let's make another bullet point on our page together. I'm going to have to use the side of my page or the back of my page, and that's just fine. See, I filled it up with all my notes. So I'm just going to go over here to the side because they're just our notes page, okay? So let me think. The princess found his name. Rumpelstiltskin was angry and ran away. The prince and the princess lived happily ever after. I'm going to try to write a few words to help me remember this part. You can copy me or come up with some of your own. Princess found name. Okay. Happy ever after. A lot of times, fairy tales will end with happily ever after. All right, boys and girls. Great job taking notes on this entire story. I'm very impressed with how you came up with ideas to write down. All right, so when we retell or rewrite events in a story, oftentimes we are going to use something called transition words. Let me show you. These words are often helpful or useful to help the reader keep track of the events. Here are some transition words we might use as we retell the fairy tale. So in the beginning of the story, for your first couple of bullet points, you might use words like at first, in the beginning, in the middle. For your next few bullet points, you'll say next, then, also, later, or suddenly. For your ending, you might say something like last, finally, in the end, or eventually. We have taken a lot of notes throughout our story. Let's review our notes together. As I read through my notes, I'm going to say them in complete sentences out loud so you can hear my thinking. When you retell the story, the fairy tale in your own writing, you will want to make sure you are using complete sentences with transition words. Complete sentences have a subject and a verb. They also have a capital letter and an end mark. All right, boys and girls, the notes for this bullet say, queen to market, woman said straw to gold, If I want to put something like that in a complete sentence, it might sound like this. In the beginning, see how I used one of our transition words? The queen visited a market. She met a woman who said her daughter could turn straw into gold. Let's look at the next bullet point. Girl to castle, can't make gold, man to help. Well, those are my notes, but if I were going to write that in a complete sentence, I might say something like, next, the queen ordered the woman and her daughter to the castle. The queen made the daughter turn the straw into gold. The daughter was sad because she couldn't make gold. Suddenly, a little man appeared. He said he would help her if she would give him her first child. The next bullet says, girl made gold, married prince, had baby. All right, well, if I'm going to write that in a complete sentence, it might sound something like this. The next day, the girl made gold. This made the queen happy, so she let the girl marry her son, the prince. They had a child. All was well. The next bullet says, man comes for child, makes a deal. If I want to put this in a complete sentence, it might sound something like this. Later, little man came back for the child. The princess was sad, so the little man made her a deal. If she could find his name, she could keep her child. The notes for the last bullet point say that the princess found name, man, mad, happy ever after. If I want to put that in a complete sentence and use transition words, it might sound something like this. After searching, the princess finally found his name. Rumpelstiltskin was very angry about this. He ran away and they lived happily ever after. All right, boys and girls, now it is your turn. When we began this lesson today, our goal was to be able to retell the fairy tale in our own words. We worked hard to take notes on our note taker together during this lesson. You just listened as I retold the story using transition words and our notes. Now you will take your notes and retell the story in your own words. You will need your other piece of paper, a pencil, and something to write on. Retell the fairy tale in your own words. Remember to use transition words and your notes. When you're finished, you can go back and add some illustrations for your favorite part. I encourage you to read your Rumpelstiltskin story to someone at your house today. Boys and girls, I enjoyed retelling Rumpelstiltskin with you. Thank you for inviting me into your home. I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson in Tennessee's At Home Learning Series. Bye-bye.